it's Marley from the Energy Boutique with your energy forecast for Monday, December 18th. So today on Moon Day, we will have the moon in Pisces all day, really helping us to get in touch with our feels, to get in touch with our intuition, to understand what needs to be healed, what needs to change, what needs to transform as far as our future plans go. Of course, the future plans that we want to have, we're not in alignment with them yet because we still have some old beliefs, some limiting thoughts, some old emotions to unpack that's preventing us from actually being the vibration and signature frequency matched to some of the things that we are looking to manifest and to attract in our lives. We are in a very hard point in time in the calendar. We are but days away from the solstice. We are approaching the first quarter moon in Pisces energy. We have a lot of intense aspects really pressurizing our inner realm to gain new perspective, to gain a new mood, to gain a new attitude, and to kind of check ourselves, if you will, on where it is that we will not be going back to certain situations, certain circumstances, certain patterns and behaviors that we now have been fighting so hard to get away from. There are 12 different aspects here today. 10 of them are going to involve the moon. The moon in Pisces is going to be making a sextile, beautiful interaction with Jupiter, planet of growth, expansion, beliefs, abundance, and blessings, who is retrograde in this Taurus energy. Major focus on our physical realm, major focus on where it is that we want change, we want new opportunities, we want to grow up, we want to improve, we want to expand, but we are blocking ourselves from doing just that. There's still a little bit of inner work to be done where self-worth, self-love is concerned, building that vibration and frequency up in order for us to have the opportunity to go out in the world once Jupiter goes direct and actually create situations, circumstances, and scenarios that are a better match to our higher selves than the ego selves that our current circumstances have been built out of. The moon interacting with Jupiter in this way is very dreamy, very optimistic. We have a big opportunity to totally lose ourselves in imaginary land, in fantasy land. Now that doesn't sound so bad, especially seeing how reality kind of sucks right now, but here's the cautionary note, is that we kind of lose ourselves too far into that vision, into that dream, into La La Land. We're kind of more overconfident than we need to be. We bite off way more than we can chew as far as conjuring up a vision, a goal, a dream goes. We could actually be setting ourselves up for a little bit of disappointment coming at us later in the day, in the coming days, in the coming weeks, if we're not being logical and practical with what it is that we're actually trying to plan for, what it is that we're trying to build towards. The moon is going to make a sextile with Mercury. We love this. The moon is our heart space. Mercury is our head space. A sextile means that they're getting along, they're in alignment, which means that we're having aha moments. We're having new ideas, we're having new thoughts, new feelings that are in alignment with one another. A lot of this is because Mercury is retrograde, looking back at the triggers, at the activations coming at us in this present moment and whether or not we are going to override them by acting as the observer, seeing why it is that they're coming for us. And again, we're just but days away from the solstice, so this is a test of our vibration, of our frequency, or where it is that we're going to fall victim and go back to past patterns and behaviors. This is a positive interaction, so for the most part, we're building and growing and improving our emotion and our mental narrative. We're building towards something better. We're really starting to see where we've allowed the victimhood mentality, the pain and trauma from our past experiences keep us in this holding pattern. This awareness is showing us where we have the opportunity to break out of that. The moon is then going to semi-square, creating a little bit of tension and conflict point with the North Node in Aries energy. This is telling me that we have a great opportunity right now to be so freaking in touch with our higher selves, with our intuition, that we have the ability to see where it is that our present day moment that isn't looking so good, isn't feeling so good, is putting us in a situation to make hard decisions in order for us to truly go after the vision and the dream that we're currently trying to conjure up. A tension point through the semi-square is illuminating for us where it is that our physical realm isn't matching the vision and the dream that our higher self, our intuition, is asking us to pursue. And from that, we get illuminated to how far the distance is away from where it is that it needs to be in order for us to get on the right page, this new path, this new quest, this new adventure, to actually go after some of the particular points in our soul contracts, in our particular individual missions that, of course, will help evolve our soul self. So this could feel very overwhelming, very confusing, because we're kind of being illuminated to where it is that the vision, the dream, the fantasy is so freaking far away from our current situation, from our current circumstances. That's not meant to bring you down and suck the magic out of this vision, out of this dream. What it's meant to do is challenge you to problem solve how it is that you're going to get from this point to where it is that you actually prefer to be. The moon is then going to make a positive interaction with Uranus. Uranus is the great awakener. He's retrograde in Taurus energy. What I love about this is that Pisces energy, which is very spiritual, very intuitive, very imaginative, very creative, and the Taurus energy, which of course is the way that we bring those ideas, those inspirations, those visions, those dreams to life, we have an opportunity to kind of change our perspective, change the way that we're seeing things, opening up our head space, opening up our heart space to actually making some physical moves. Uranus retrograde in this Taurus energy has been illuminating for us where it is that we've been praying for change, but where it is that we haven't been doing anything to make it happen. So this being a positive interaction, emotionally speaking, is showing us insight, an aha moment, an epiphany on where it is that we could make some of the smaller changes that we would feel more comfortable in making at this present moment, to at least sign and signal to the cosmos and to our higher selves that we are willing to do the hard things. We are willing to kind of bust away from our comfort zone if it means gaining closer proximity to the vision, to the dream, to the goal that we're currently trying to manifest. The moon then interacts with the sun in a very positive way. So there is an aha moment forming. There's an illumination forming. There is a little bit of growth. There's a little bit of improvement. There's a little bit of healing. We know within ourselves now what our physical selves, this ego avatar, has to do here in this physical realm in order to actually align with the path that would actually help us manifest this vision, this goal, this dream. Again, anytime that the moon and the sun are interacting in this way, an aha moment comes out of our unconscious selves. And with that, we understand this new creative life force energy that is percolating within us, and what that means as far as how do we take action upon it? How do we express it out into the world? How do we chase it? How do we take what it is that we know within ourselves, that we want for ourselves, that we want to experience, that we want to pursue? How do we actually take action in this physical realm, in this present moment, to gain a little bit more closer distance to that end goal, to that end vision? Now, we are blessed with this next aspect. We have Mercury, ruler of the mental plane, ruler of information communication, how it is that we express ourselves, retrograde in this Capricorn energy. And again, side note, Capricorn energy is the manifesting energy of the zodiac. So this is why it's so important to have control over your mental plane, over your thoughts, especially in this time of testing. You have the ability to manifest whatever it is that you are focused on. So if you are a Debbie Downer, if you're a negative Nancy, if you're sitting in fears and doubts and insecurities and seeing more problems than you are solutions, that's what you're going to be manifesting in this next phase. That's why it's so important to be able to flip the script and override some of the thoughts, ideas, and narratives that are coming very, very heavily at us with this particular Mercury retrograde. That was a side note. I digress. Mercury is going to be trining beautiful interaction with Jupiter, the planet of growth, expansion, beliefs, abundance, and blessings, who is also retrograde in Taurus energy. So Capricorn energy, Taurus energy, they're both earth energies. This is what gives us our trine. Our trine is a step forward, is growth, is improvement, is a certain amount of healing, is a certain amount of progress. What this does is it magnifies, because Jupiter magnifies or turns the volume all the way up on whatever it is that we're thinking and feeling, magnifies the big ideas that we're having, the good perspectives that we're choosing, the big picture that we're looking to actually focus on, the mood and the attitude that we are choosing, and technically we are overriding the negative dominant mood and attitude that comes at this particular point in the calendar. So this is big glow ups. This is big grow ups here. This is big mood, big ideas, big attitude. You could actually have positive conversations that lead into new opportunities for growth, for healing, for repairment. You could be receiving good news, maybe something that, took a nosedive when Mercury first went retrograde. Maybe that bad news is finally showing you a silver lining. Either way, this is a huge, huge green light go ahead to lock in this particular mood and attitude, this particular narrative, dialogue, and perspective, and really start running with some of the big, good ideas that have you thinking in a positive direction and feeling in a positive direction. It's not going to last too long, though. We do have the moon in this Pisces energy semi-squaring, creating tension and conflict with Pluto, the great transformer himself, who, of course, is just at these final degrees in this Capricorn energy. And so there's a lot of tension here. There's a lot of conflict here. This is again, prime example when we take a big step forward and we're feeling good and we're feeling positive and we are evolving and we are pushing the level of awareness that, of course, took place between Mercury and Jupiter, where the dark force entities start pulling us back. Okay, so this is taking us on a little bit of a trip down the darker path of our memories, of our pain, of our trauma. Not to paralyze us, although that's what the dark force energies want to do, is to paralyze us, prevent us from evolving, prevent us from growing. And instead, what this is going to do is it's going to illuminate that old narrative, that old mood, that old attitude that we are just sick of. But we have to sit in it. We have to feel it in order to heal it. Pisces energy is just as healing, just as cleansing as it is, I'm going to say, destructive. As painful as it may be, it provides us with a growth point. And so we are getting our emotions kind of all up in a tizzy here. And we're going to further on that pain and trauma, but we're going to help heal it in a certain way because the moon goes ahead and interacts with Chiron. So Chiron's the wounded healer. He's retrograde in Aries energy. This is the identity crisis / rebranding that we're going through. This, because it's a positive aspect, is providing us with the wisdom, the knowledge, the resources that we already have within us due to the past tough love life lessons that we've already gone through. The moon interacting with Chiron in this way is going to be showing us where we do have the ability to heal, where we do have the ability to grow, to improve, to bust out of who it is that we've had to be and really anchor in who it is that we truly are. And this particular energy is definitely going to help us get out of the funk that, of course, Pluto put us in. Because again, we have to go back into that poor, woe is me, victimhood mentality, overwhelmed and confused about everything. We have to feel that in order to heal that. We are definitely attempting to heal that with this particular Chiron aspect. We further this healing with the moon trining Venus. Venus is the goddess of love, beauty, worth, pleasure, and money. She's in the Scorpio energy. This is some water on water action. What do we know about water? Water is emotional. Water is intuitive. Water is creative. Water is imaginative. Water is cleansing. It is healing. It is transformative. It is the only element that can take on all different kinds of forms. A liquid, a solid, a gas, depending on what element is being applied to it. A trine means that this is a positive interaction. There's a growth, there's a healing, there's a progress, there's improvement. Emotionally speaking, this has a lot to do with some of the choices that we've been kerfuffled about as far as our relationship dynamics go. Because we just have this illumination on where it is that the pain and the trauma and the funk, the mood and the attitude came back, kind of suffocated us in it. And then we made that choice to not sit in it anymore, to do what we had to do to override it, to do what we had to do to rise up in it. Now, suddenly, we have a different perspective on our relationship dynamics that have been causing us a little bit of discontentment, little bit of a kerfuffle. We understand that in order to let go of the old, sometimes that means letting go of people that old version of self had attracted into your life to teach you a particular life lesson that you no longer want to learn anymore because you got it, you integrated it, you've processed it, you're operating from it. This is a choice point. This is I'm going to call it prioritization of who and what deserves your time, energy, affection, and love, and who does not. And that is a very illuminating thing, seeing that we're coming to a very, very important ending of the chapter, not only in our lunar phase with the moon in Pisces, but as we approach the solstice, this is new karmic chapters coming at us, new soul contracts coming at us, a new vibration, a new frequency of the identity that we will be anchoring into. So this is a beautiful realization on who and what will be coming with us and who and what will not. The moon is then going to make a positive interaction with Mercury. So this means that our heart and our head are on the same page. Now, does that mean that everything is happy-go-lucky? No, but it does mean that we're in agreement between our heart and our head on what needs to be done in order for us to get to a happy place. And that in itself is clarity. That in itself is progress. That in itself is growth and improvement. Venus is going to go ahead. She's going to interact with Pluto. Now, Pluto rolls over the Scorpio energy that Venus is currently in. You best believe that there are going to be some intense emotions come up, but more so where it is that we're feeling empowered, where it is that we're feeling in control, where it is that we feel like we are leaving the old pain and trauma, those old karmic life lessons behind, and where it is that we feel empowered enough to challenge the new, which is a beautiful thing, especially where relationships are concerned. But the last thing we have going on here today is the moon in Pisces getting into the boxing ring, squaring off with Mars. Mars is the god of war. He rules over our physical energy, our drive, our passion, our desires. He's in Sagittarius energy. He wants to take action. He wants to make moves, especially on these big ideas, especially on a new target, a new focus. We're building an inspiration. We're building a motivation. We're trying to cultivate that fire energy within us in order for us to stay the course, to actually see, I'm going to say this long-term path, plan, and vision actually come into fruition. But here's the thing. The moon in Pisces, because this is a square, we're not inspired. We're not motivated. Instead, the life force energy just gets sucked all the way out of our being. We're not in touch with our intuition. We're not in touch with our power, with our strength. Suddenly, we take a deep dive into the darkness again. Now, this is okay. We're going to allow this to happen for a certain time. Why? Because the god of war, Mars, he doesn't F around for too long. He understands that staying in that negative emotion, staying in that negative narrative, staying in the past is only going to trigger him, activate him, infuriate him, bring out the worst part of him. And he would rather burn the path down in order for him to get from where he's at to where it is that he desires to be, than burn the whole world down because he's angry and stuck in old patterns and behaviors. So yes, we are going to feel overwhelmed with frustration, with restlessness, with uninspired, unmotivated energies. But we need to sit in that funk. We need to let ourselves kind of brew in that funk in order for us to, again, make a choice point. Are we going to choose to burn everything down around us just for the fact that we don't have what it takes to actually burn the path moving forward? Or are we going to sit, take a good look at the damage and destruction of our past, realize that we've poured enough time and energy into those particular aspects, and then orient ourselves to a new direction and use that rage, use that, let's call it anger, as the fuel to the fire, to inspire, to motivate us, to make a change, to try something new.